Hey there guys, in today's video I share with you my visit to the Point Defiance Zoo in Tacoma, Washington. This was an absolutely phenomenal experience, so I'm very excited to show you guys what there was to see there. So if that's something you're interested in seeing, make sure to stick around, because that's going to be coming up right after this. All right, guys. So the first thing I want to say about the Point Defiance Zoo in Tacoma, Washington is that it is breathtakingly beautiful. It's absolutely incredible. But the first thing I noticed when I walked in is the opening plaza has a map of the world as their floor. But instead of it being focused on a particular country or continent, as is typical, the center of this map of the world is the Pacific Ocean. So it's definitely a different way to think about things. And then, of course, it leads you to this breathtaking view. They make great use of the elevation, great use of the landscaping. Again, so much color, far more flowers than I was expecting for the Pacific Northwest. So I thought that was absolutely amazing. It really gives it this fun, almost tropical feeling. You definitely feel immersed in nature, but rather than a tropical rainforest where it's 100 degrees and very humid, this was actually room temperature and very comfortable to walk around in. Now, the exhibits were well done, in my opinion. Here we have the red wolves, which featured numerous viewing areas. One of the things they pointed out with their red wolf exhibit is how they had been working to contribute to the conservation of the species. And I think it's really nice that they couple that education with such a wonderful way to see and interact with the animals. It's good to know that a zoo or an organization or a facility is working towards contribute towards wildlife, but for kids, for people who are new to that, what is going to get their attention is the up-close interactions with the animals. So having multiple viewing windows. Here I have a red wolf that came all the way up to me, walked right in front of my window. I didn't know if he was looking at me or not, and then he was, and this caught my attention, and I was talking about this for days. And I think that's how you inspire kids to care about animals and then want to read the signs, of which they did a very good job. Not only does the signage talk about the conservation efforts of the facility, but they focus on what guests can do in their own lives to better wildlife, to better the environment. And that's going to be a recurring trend throughout the entire zoo. They are very unified in their approach of addressing conservation as something people can do at home. Now here we have their Yak Exhibit, and I really enjoyed that they readily showcase enrichment items. I always think showcasing enrichment is really important. One, because it provides for the animals, but two, it lets guests know that pieces of enrichment are definitely something that goes into the care of animals. And this fire hose toy is something I am going to do my best to replicate. That's one of the things I take away when I go to zoos and other facilities. Can I make the enrichment items that they have available? Now, like I said, the Point Defiance Zoo is in the Pacific Northwest. They showcase a lot of animals for their climate. So there are a lot of cold weather animals, which is a little bit different from what I'm used to seeing. I am from the Gulf Coast. I'm used to very warm weather animals. And I will tell you right now, after seeing sea otters, I would readily give all of that up just to watch them. We were actually watching them for far more time than I cared to admit, and they were just slowly spinning, vocalizing, absolutely adorable. Here they have this incredible puffin enclosure as well, with really nice cliffs. I really liked that the misters not only gave the ambiance, they gave enrichment to the animals as well. And then, of course, I noticed this puffin who was preparing to jump into the water below the cliffs. So, of course, in that instance, I had to wait for him to take off because I knew it was going to be well worth it if I did, and I would be kicking myself if I didn't stick around and wait for him to do it. And luckily, he did. I also, at that point, noticed that I had a female who desperately wanted to get my attention. I'm not entirely sure why, because there were several other guests who came by and she did not give them the same attention. Maybe there's something about me that just looks like I feed and take care of animals. But I am sure there is something that this animal was interested in, was fixated on, and if she is willing to do that for other guests as well, they're again going to have that connection to those animals. Now, they do have an area to view their pinnipeds. They have sea lions. They had, I believe, harbor seals. And they have some of the most impeccable water quality I have ever seen. This was looking to the back of an enclosure that is at least 40 to 50 feet away, and you can see the detailing on the rock wall of that enclosure incredibly well. You can see these animals as they are moving around incredibly well. And I just thought that was really, really well done. I know for a lot of people, they may not understand the struggle that goes into providing this type of water quality. But as someone who has worked with aquatic and semi-aquatic animals, I am aware of what goes into it, and I thought it was very, very impressive. In terms of aquariums and aquatics, they do a really, really good job with that as well. Most of their exhibits either featured water or, of course, they have their large aquariums, which have a wide variety of aquatic species as well. And of course, they're designed in a way where you can be up close and personal with those animals, probably better than a lot of other zoos I've seen. You can also see some animals that may not be as readily available. Now, one thing you'll notice, there were those words that are coming from a light projector. As I mentioned earlier, they're really good with their messaging. If you wanted to teach kids about the environment, of the impact they can have on the environment, there are a variety of ways that you can do that. In their aquarium here, they have touch screens that you can pick conservation themes, and you will be seeing information about that throughout the entire aquarium. They had an absolutely phenomenal jellyfish exhibit. But one thing that stood out to me is that at every single cluster of tanks, every single section that you moved through, there were electronic touchpads that you could interact with, and they featured different things. So if you wanted to know about the conservation efforts of a particular species, that would be an option on a touch screen. If you wanted to know how they did the tank design or the artistic decorations that were found in the aquarium, that's another topic on the same touch screen. If you wanted to play a game where you picked out certain features of an animal, that was another topic. So it definitely was geared for the entire family. This jellyfish aquarium I thought was incredible. It's basically a fountain, kind of like you would see with a garden fountain, except it is clear. It's got the water running over it. It's got the changing light. And I did double check. It wasn't salt water. So this wasn't the water that was actually what the jellyfish were swimming in. It was completely different. But, it was really, really fun and interactive. It was a nice tactile experience. And all of their aquariums, again, that impeccable water quality, which I know is really, really difficult to provide, especially when you have so many different animals. And it was all done really, really well. The design of the aquariums themselves was also done really, really well. And unlike some aquariums where they want the focus to be just on animals in the wild, these exhibits showcased a lot of ways that Animals interact with tide pools. Animals interact with piers. Animals interact with all nature of man-made articles, which I think is really, really cool because it teaches people that these animals are a part of our lives. We are not separate from the natural world. We are a part of it. So it is in our best interest to work with it, to do our best to preserve it. In terms of interactive activities, not only did they have all of the different screens I was talking about, all of the different fun enclosures, the aquarium ends with this really, really fun touch tank where not only did they have animals that you could touch, not only did they have an attendant supervising those interactions, they had multiple attendants answering questions, telling people how they interact with those animals, fun things about those animals. They had a wall showcasing for people how the choices you make can have an impact on the oceans, even if it is things that don't necessarily seem like they would be connected. Things like how water runoff is used, how changing your oil can make a difference, how picking proper silverware at a restaurant makes a difference. Now, there were some non-Pacific Northwest, non-cold weather, non-aquarium animals as well. Here we have a crested porcupine. And again, I just love seeing animals interacting with enrichment. To me, that's just the best thing. And this porcupine was having a blast. Now, this right here is probably one of the best done and also one of the saddest things that I saw at the zoo. This is a interactive thing for guests where they can press different buttons and listen to the different sounds of the forest. And the problem is that the sounds of the forest also include the sounds of machinery or chainsaws. Now, as I say, I think this is really, really well done, but it was something that made me stop and think and made me very, very sad for the state of things. There is also this elephant here. She is the last elephant of her herd. At this point, we had seen some keepers behind the scenes, so she was probably waiting to have her dinner. She is alone in this exhibit because her herd mates have passed away. She's an older elephant. And again, right after that thing with the sounds of the rainforest really drove home that that is potentially the future of animals if we don't manage them appropriately. Now for that elephant, obviously she is well cared for, and trying to move her to another facility with other elephants, trying to move other elephants into her facility would potentially be more stressful than just about anything else because she's older. It's not what she is used to. And she is very used to the keepers she has taking care of her. Again, so many species that we have an impact on that we need to be working harder to get people to care about. Now, the good news here is I think the Point Defiance Zoo does an excellent job of showcasing why people should care. They get to have these incredible interactive moments with these animals. The exhibits are done really, really well to let you feel that you are up close and personal with these animals. The conservation messaging is impeccable, probably some of the best I have ever seen. So I definitely think that while there are challenges that we face, the Point Defiance Zoo acknowledges those challenges and tries to forge a way forward. So if you are in the area, I encourage you to visit the Point Defiance Zoo in Tacoma, Washington. If you liked this video, go ahead, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I do want to thank you all so much for watching all the way to the end of this video, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time. I do need to say a special thank you to my patrons on Patreon. By signing up to support this channel, they help me make more tutorials and videos showcasing animal care possible. If you'd like to find out more about subscribing to my Patreon, you can find the link in the description section down below. Thanks so much.